What's up, guys? We have a massive, low-key super fight this weekend. The main event, Petr Yan taking on Deiveson Figueiredo. This is a former champion in Petr Yan taking on a former champion in Deiveson Figueiredo. It feels like we should be talking about this a lot more. It feels like the UFC should be hyping this a lot more. This is no different than someone like Aljamain Sterling, former champion at 135, going up to 145, which he actually did, fighting a former champion like a Max Holloway. This is like Charles Oliveira, former champion, moving up to 170, fighting Leon Edwards, another former champion. Leon Edwards goes up to 185, fights Israel Adesanya, another former champion. This is massive. This is Petr Yan taking on Deiveson Figueiredo. Deiveson Figueiredo, we know at 125, guy was an absolute killer. He is actually on my Mount Rushmore of 125ers. And really, in his heyday, this guy was an absolute killer. It's very rare that we're going to see someone with the size, the physicality, the knockout power at 125. That's just something that's super rare. You don't really see it. So when he was actually down there in that weight class, he was dominating people. He has wins over Alexandre Pantoja, the current champion right now, Joseph Benavidez, multiple times. Obviously had the quadrilogy with Brandon Moreno. That should have been a 2-2 split. Then he moves up to 135, immediately gets a top-ranked opponent in Rob Font, easily wins that fight. Cody Garbrandt, round 2 submission win, and then gets a big name, a solidified top 5 guy in Marlon Chito Vera, and he kind of makes that fight look easy too. So yeah, Deiveson Figueiredo, even though he's a little bit older now, he's 36, 37 years old. He's a little bit older. That's okay. He's still looking very sharp at this 135-pound division. I thought he was going to be way too small. I thought he kind of was stuck in limbo. I thought he was too big for 125, too small for 135, but he's been proving me wrong every single step of the way. He is winning legitimate fights against legitimate names in the bantamweight division. So for him to get a spot like this against Petr Yan, another former champion, he has one of the most tragic stories, one of the most tragic careers we've ever seen. Petr Yan's one of my all-time favorite fighters. And he really could have been the greatest bantamweight of all time had things gone his way. But really, that loss to Aljamain Sterling, the round 4 DQ, something that will live in infamy in UFC history, that was one of the biggest trajectory knockoffs we've ever seen. Because as soon as that happened, he bounced back quick with the win over Corey Sandhagen, got that rematch with Aljamain Sterling, lost a razor-thin split decision, so he never actually got the belt back, gets a big fight against Sean O'Malley, loses that fight by split decision, even though, I mean, call me crazy, I don't know what side you guys were on, but I pretty clearly thought Petr Yan won that fight. You do go back, you rewatch it, it was obviously a lot closer. O'Malley up on the numbers, 84-58 significant strikes wise. Petr Yan did have 6 takedowns with almost 6 minutes of control time. So it was a tough one to score. I personally thought he won that fight. Judges gave it to O'Malley. The rest is history there. They give him Merab Dvalishvili, the current champion now. Freaking Merab just goes absolutely berserk. Goes 11 of 49 on takedowns. Like, simply just outmatched Petr Yan because of his cardio, because of the takedowns, just nonstop pressure. So yeah, instead of beating Aljamain Sterling to get another title defense and then beating Corey Sandhagen probably for another title defense, maybe gets Sean O'Malley in 5 rounds, maybe he wins that fight, you're looking at 3 or 4 title defenses at bantamweight, which would have been the most all time. But instead, he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He is 2-4 in his last 6. So now his professional record is sitting at 17-5. That feels very wrong. He is coming off a massive win over Song Yadong. Again, very close 3-round fight, but that's a good bounce back win against a young up-and-coming guy, kind of a killer in Song Yadong. So I like that win for him. I don't think he's ever going to be champion again, but that's the story of Petr Yan. He is insanely talented, very well-rounded, has been to the top of the sport, and he's taken on Deiveson Figueiredo, who can say the same exact thing, who is an absolute killer, a champion at 125. We're getting both of these guys going head-to-head in a main event. This is a low-key super fight. I absolutely love it. I wish we were talking about it more, but that's just classic. It's not a pay-per-view. It is a fight night. We do have a live crowd, but it's not going to be taking place until 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, yeah, it feels like this one's getting buried, but I absolutely love the fight. Maybe it's happening a little bit later than we wanted to, but personally, it's great. If I had to pick a side, if I had to break down the fight real quick, Petr Yan, he has a huge sample size in the UFC. We know he is a slow starter, especially in a 5-round fight. I think he does it on purpose. He gives up those early rounds, tires you out, figures out the timing, and then once he figures you out and gets that timing down, the rhythm starts going, the momentum starts going, he becomes a real problem. So Petr Yan maybe drops a few rounds to Deiveson Figueiredo, who definitely will come out strong. He's got big power in his hands, but he is low volume, and he is willing to take this fight to the ground. We've seen that in pretty much all of his fights at 135. He is trying to wrestle as much as possible. The only problem is Petr Yan, also a very good wrestler in his own right, offensively and defensively. So if Figueiredo wants to play that game, I don't think he's going to have huge success holding down a guy like Petr Yan. The longer this fight goes, it's going to favor a guy like Petr Yan. I always felt like Figueiredo, maybe because he was cutting down to 125, cardio wasn't all that there. So in a 5-round fight, I think it favors Petr Yan. Maybe he starts out a little bit slow, but he will figure it out. And I got to go with Petr Yan to win this fight by decision. This is a sick fight. This is a massive fight. Let's start talking about it a little bit more. Let me know what you guys think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next time.